Las Vegas, 1995. Special Agent Terry Clark became concerned about a growing anti-government movement brewing across the United States. Las Vegas became a magnet for anti-American militias and activity.
There was a big spotlight shining on us. And I think Terry realized, and I agreed with him, that it was bigger than one undercover operative. I needed help.
We asked Vince to come in.
Jay and I started out early on in our careers working together. I was a natural choice for him and him for me for this one.
He's really smart, he's really fast on his feet, and he's got a great understanding of the street.
When Jeffrey Tenpenny entered their radar, Agents Dobbins and Cefalu took notice.
When I met Tenpenny, I was extremely concerned about his attitude and his willingness to discuss criminal activity in such a quick manner. It started out with narcotics. I think he was the first one to mention it. I can get speed, I can get this. And it was that easy. Anything he would say or do, we would feed off of. And you know, what kind of weapons can you get? Well, I can get this, I can get that. Clearly, he did not think we were undercover cops. With regards to Jeffrey Tenpenny, as soon as we met him, he was a target. We stayed in touch with him for a couple weeks.
He starts letting out that he's in the middle of a lawsuit, that he was injured in an elevator accident at the Golden Nugget, that an elevator dropped and he hit his head.
His attorney had led him to believe that he was going to make a lot of money by suing the Golden Nugget and Steve Wynn's corporation. Vegas was growing explosively at that time. Steve Wynn was a part of that. He turned around at the Golden Nugget, and then he had a vision for the rest of Vegas, and that was to build these mega casinos. He built the Mirage and Treasure Island that changed the town. He obsessed about the attorney for Steve Wynn. His vendetta arose out of his obsession with her.
Tenpenny focused his rage on the attorney representing Steve Wynn, because he believed she was the one who decided whether he got a big cash payout. Dobbins and Cefalu were surprised when Tenpenny called them up unexpectedly, asking to meet at a local bar.
Obviously, he was there to make an impression on us because he rolls out blueprints to one of the casinos.
They're the mechanical drawings for the Treasure Island Casino. He said, if I don't get my money, I'm blowing this place up. I'm gonna collapse this place on top of itself. This was gonna go from a guy who sold a prohibited weapon and some street dope to a guy who's literally plotting the bombing murder of thousands of people. This murder plan was fanatical. It was maniacal.
To actually have blueprints of it was pretty unnerving.
He tells us that if he doesn't win his lawsuit, he's gonna blow up all of Wynn's casinos, not just the Treasure Island, but the Mirage and the Golden Nugget as well.
It was our intention to get him away from the bar, too much background noise, and wanted to get best evidence, so we wanted to get him in the car that we knew was wired up. So we got in the car, and Jay got in the back. That sort of a tactical move. Tenpenny was sitting up front, wanting to get the best camera angle, because we knew where the camera was.
With the recording devices running, Tenpenny continues to talk, and he continues to discuss his plan.
How long there for? See for how much would you want? I haven't got an actual amount yet. I know it's going to take at least $1.5 million for the Nugget and Treasure Island. The Mirage, yeah, $1.5 each. Okay, so it's the Mirage in itself, I haven't calculated yet because, like I say, it's going to get technical with that because it's got them arms that come off. Substructure and everything else in it is, pretty complicated. So I got to find out exactly where the support walls are, the load bearing, and all that, so I can implode it.
He wasn't completely without knowledge of the mechanics of what he wanted with those bombs.
At this point, Jay and I figured this guy is committed. He's committed to doing this with or without us. My fear was that it's not that hard to get things on the open market. It doesn't always have to be C4 or dynamite or a 5-gallon jug of nitromethane. If he would have just gotten some of that and lit a fuse to it, something that simple, it could have done a lot of damage. Maybe not as much as C4 or, commercial grade explosives, but we just needed to stop this train from running. So we tried to control the environment and wanted to make sure that we offered to provide him with our contact and our explosives and whatever he needed.
Well, let's do this, all right? Because I'm gonna have you write down exactly what you want, so there's no mistakes. If you need blasting caps, if you need fuse, if you need whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you right now, don't tell me to get it until you're ready to use it.
Okay, that's what I was intending to do anyway.
We wanted to know from him what he was looking for, so it would be clear to any jury or anybody else who heard these tapes that he was going to do it, whether it was with us or without us.
You understand there's gonna be a lot of innocent people hurt on us.
Yeah, I know that.
There's gonna be a lot of innocent people die.
I know that.
All right.
When I go in for revenge, I don't give a about who it is gonna kill. But I'm gonna go down unless they give me what I'm asking.
Which is
$1 million.
The case conference is the 22nd. It's 2 days.
okay.
Well, if you
Ready to
need it
go.
by the 22nd, we're gonna need to know today what you need, how much you need.
He had some kind of pre-trial conference or something coming up that had him really agitated. And if he didn't get any satisfaction out of that, I remember him saying, it was a go.
On June 22nd, Vince gets a call from Tenpenny. His case conference with the Wynn Corporation didn't deliver the payout he wanted. The bombing would go as planned.
We knew that delivering these devices to Tenpenny was ultimately what he would be charged behind. We had one of the best explosives experts in the country working for us, a guy named Jerry Taylor.
Under the statute, you don't actually have to have a working bomb. You just have to have a combination of parts designed or intended to be used as a bomb. We had to give him a bomb that actually had the working parts, even though it wouldn't detonate for him if he didn't know how to do it.
We received a briefing on how they work and what the components were because we had to be able to articulate and explain what we were delivering. Then the second step was to make arrangements as to how and when we were going to deliver the devices. And then it wasn't like just me and Vince were going to show up and drop these off to him. An enforcement operation had to be built. A raid team had to be built and assembled and strategized. We ended up delivering the devices to Tenpenny in the garage at his house. We walk into his garage. He pulled the garage door down, so now we're isolated in his garage. Basically, so no one could see or hear what was going on. We confirmed with him that this is what he wanted. We made sure that he understood that he knew how they worked.
Do it. Get the money.
He paid us for the devices.
The cover teams were outside listening to us. And then we had a pre-designated bus signal.
Little way to celebrate.
Just as my own little gimmick historically, as either a bus signal or a staging signal, I'd always had a Pez dispenser with me. It was meant to give the cover team an advance notice, like, we're getting close. Get ready, boys. We're getting ready to take him down. I popped open my Pez dispenser. I said, dude, we got to celebrate with a Pez.
We have a Pez after every deal.
Vince took one, I took one, Tenpenny took one.
Then the cavalry came.
We all came in very rapidly because we didn't want to give him a chance to acquire some other gun and to shoot his way out. So we came straight to the defendant and put him in handcuffs on the ground. He was very shocked. He believed that Jay and Vince were who they said they were, and he didn't know how the police could find this out. He thought that they were militia guys and that he was secure in his criminal activity with them. We took Jay and Vince into the car, put them in custody as if they were actual suspects too, because we didn't want him to know that they were undercovers. He didn't know until after he'd been booked that they actually were undercovers. The charges he pled guilty to were possession of explosive devices, possession of unregistered weapons.
There's a huge sense of relief because now we know at least this plan, this scheme, is not going to happen.